I was married at the age of 20 because I wasn't going to college. Ended up being a sheet metalist and a welder. And that's where my coworker, as we started talking about electronics stuff, is the one who said, look, if you take the night class, I'll go with you. Turns out he could have taught the class, but he, told me along the way. That was probably the single biggest transfer, transforming the time period. Now, there were still a lot of things, that happened after that. So it started giving me confidence that maybe I shouldn't listen to what other people think about me as much as start driving the force. And so it took one success after another to start building the confidence. One manager, one boss believing in me to say, "Yeah, I want to put you in this position that I never thought I could achieve." So I was like an engineering program manager for some major systems for the DoD, as a contractor. I'm thinking, whoa, they have faith in me to do that. So it was the first person saying, I'll take you by the hand to show you, to give me some confidence, and then others that would lead me along the way. One of the things that was interesting is, as I mentioned, a little kid looking up at the stars at night, wondering if I could see where Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin worked. One of my jobs when I got to NASA at NASA headquarters was to lead a team to see what we would do when we had humans back on the moon, but for a sustained period of time. And I remember we had just briefed some of our results for thoughts to the public. And I remember one evening sitting in my office and my phone rang, and it was Buzz Aldrin. We talked for like an hour and a half to talk about what our study said, what his experiences were. So I had quite the small, looking up at the stars dream, to then talking to somebody. I wondered if I could see him walking on the moon, or, where he walked on the moon. So it's experiences like that, when you position yourself right, just starts building up I want more than just the confidence, but there are times when, you just feel like you're just beat down, and to think about, I can get through this. I've gotten through this many times. I'll make it through this challenge also. Um, working with international folks was tremendous. Being able to, when you're down or when you really feel like you're embarrassing, how to turn that into positive. I'll give you one example that's kind of funny, but I was flying to Europe to meet with our counterparts at ESA, European Space Agency. And I talked with my counterpart on the phone. This was the first visit. And it was going to be, I don't want to say a tense meeting, but it could have turned out that way. And the night before, we decided to go out for dinner. So we were at a restaurant, had a nice white tablecloths and things like that. I reached across the table to get a loaf of bread or a piece of bread, and I spilled a glass of red wine all over the table, all over my shirt, and all that stuff. And I kind of looked at him and said, "Yeah, I have different ways of breaking the ice." So I could have just fell down or just said, "Nah, I'm going to make the best out of it." And that's kind of the approach I take in life also, is even when you're down, you make the best out of it. You can always get through it.